So let's say I want to make a mitered corner. Most biscuit joiners have a fence that tilts to 45 degrees, and what the instructions say is to put it on the inside corner like this and make your cut. The only problem with that is that you're referencing off of this corner, not this corner. That's the corner that shows. That's the corner that's important. Now there's a couple biscuit joiners out there that has an auxiliary fence that goes on like this, and then you move this to 45 degrees, giving you a 135 angle underneath here. Now what that 135 is for is that you can reference off the bottom like this, make your plunge, and you are referencing off the correct point, which is this one right here, not here. So how do you reference off of this point if you only have a biscuit joiner that goes to 45 or 90 degrees? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pieces back to back with the outsides facing each other, get them nice and aligned right here at the point. With this all aligned, I can take this, put it up against my bench vertically, and clamp it in place like that. Now with these two 45s together, it actually creates a 90. So with my fence at 90 degrees, I can take this and register it on that 90-degree corner and make the cuts. So I have a piece of plywood here, and this represents, basically the side of a cabinet. And I want to add a face frame to it, let's say. So I've got some 1.5 inch stock here, and I've put 3 biscuits in here. And I can cut mating slots in here to line everything up to make sure this doesn't move around on me. But what I really like to do is have an extra 1/16 of an inch proud of this so I can trim it back flush to the face. All I really have to do to accomplish that task is raise my fence up a 1/16 of an inch. Now with my fence raised up, all I have to do is just make the slots in the face frame. Now with my biscuits in, I can take the face frame, place it on here, and I've got a perfect 1/16 inch reveal to be trimmed back. Now this could be useful, like I said, for face frames, also for shelves when you add a solid front to it. There's one more trick though I need to show you when doing this. Now there are times when you're trying to put all this together and you're trying to attach a face frame to the front. It's very hard to clamp or impossible to clamp to the front. So what a lot of guys do is they'll take pocket holes, put on the outside, especially on an end piece of a cabinet, and then skin it. With this, you don't have to do that. What it is it's a self-clamping biscuit, and these are made by Lamello. It's their K20. And what it has teeth on here that only go one way. So if I put these in here, they're a little bit difficult to get in. Pound them in there. Now after I have these pieces in, I can put some glue on there, put my face frame on, give it a couple taps. I've got a perfect seam here, and this doesn't require any clamps. Very, very handy. I have a simple mitered frame here, and one of the ways to reinforce this is by putting it in a jig and running over a table saw and putting a spline in the corner here. I'm going to show you how to use a biscuit joiner to do this really easy and really quick. So I've got the point of the miter facing towards me. All I want to do is take the biscuit joiner, find out where my center mark is, put it on that point, and then I'm going to use a square to get that square at the edge. And I'm going to take a pencil and mark across the front of the fence. Now once I have that line, I can extend it all the way to the edges. And then I'm going to measure from here to here real quick. Which is 4 inches. Now I can take my biscuit joiner, line up the center point, line up those marks I just made, and make a plunge. Now to repeat that on the other 3 corners, all I need to do is measure over 4 inches. I've got my bevel gauge set to 45 degrees. I can just put it against there. Now I've got that same mark. I just put the biscuit joiner here, align the fence, and make a plunge. So in that corner there, I put a walnut spline in, and it looks really nice. Now there's another way you can also reinforce these miters. So I'm going to take my biscuit joiner and put it on the back of the piece. Now mine has 3 marks. Almost all your biscuit joiners are going to have a center mark. Mine has 2 extra ones right here, and you can take a piece of tape and put across here. These are about 1.5 inches out. So all I'm going to do is line up the center on the seam itself, and then put these 2 marks right on the edges, turn it on, and make a plunge. So the carcass of this is dry fit together, and the miters are nice and tight. Now let's say I want to add an interior divider here and a fixed shelf here, because 2 drawers are going here and then this is going to be open. So on a larger cabinet, this can be an issue because you might have 10 parts you're trying to wrangle and get together and glue it up and try to get it square. It can be a real pain. I'm going to show you how to put this together so that you can glue this up first just as a carcass and then slide these parts in later using biscuits. I've taken the 2 sides and I've butted the faces up together. I've made a line across with the square. This is the lower divider and this is the shelf that goes above it. Now I'm going to put a biscuit here in the front for the shelf, and one in the back. And I'm just going to use the marks on the side of the biscuit joiner to plunge in there. Now this is the shelf, this is the front, this is the top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my biscuit joiner, I've got the fence flipped over to 90 degrees. I'm going to start here, right in the center on the end. I'm going to plunge it, and I'm actually going to push it over like this until it stops at this edge. And what it'll do is it'll create a groove on the side here. Then I'm going to flip the piece around and do the same thing, but from the front of the piece, I'm going to plunge it in using that as my reference, and then go off the end like that. So you can see I have a groove here and a groove here, both stopping short of the front. Now I just need to do that small divider shelf. Now that I have some biscuits in here, all I have to do is slide these right in from the front. I think you can see the big advantage here. You can take a case piece that has a lot of internal parts, just build the outside, maybe put a couple dividers in it, and then the rest of the pieces can just be placed in from the front of the case instead of trying to glue it all up at once.